Hey, welcome back to Morrison Heights Family Connect. I'm Tim Peabody. This is the podcast of Morrison Heights. Our guest today is Derek Melton. He's a blacksmith. He won episode 20, season 5 of Forged in Fire, very popular blacksmithing show. Married to Cindy Melton, who works in the education department at Mississippi College.
That's right.
Thanks for being on the program today.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Now, we wanted to have you on the program because you won a TV show that lots of people in our church watch. Normally, people who are guests on this show are Morrison Heights folks, but you're not a Morrison Heights member,
Right.
but you live in Clinton and you go to Pine Lake. Is that correct?
Right.
So tell me about how you got into blacksmithing.
It started at MC, actually. So I graduated from Mississippi College in '94. And
Brad Barker graduated around that time. You know him?
Okay.
He's a former Morrison Heights guy.
Probably. I'm terrible with names.
That's all right.
But it started at MC. Actually, I was a Christian studies major at MC, and the guy that taught me Greek and teachings of Jesus was Dr. Roger Green. Yeah. And Dr. Green's son was in school with us at the time, Ramsey. And Ramsey came to the dorm one day with either it was a little knife or an arrowhead or something that he had made. And he was showing it around, and I saw it, and I was fascinated that he had made this thing. And I said, I got to see this. I got to see how you do this. And so I went to his house, and he had a little forge set up in the backyard, and so that lit a little spark in me to try to investigate more about how to do that stuff. And so then after I graduated, I met another guy here in Clinton, Steve Thompson, who was into knife making at the time. And so he invited me over his shop, which, funny enough, was in the orange storage building right there next to Home Depot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had a little roll-up storage door.
That was his blacksmith shop.
And he had a shop in one of those storage building units. And so I'd go over there a couple of times a week, and he'd teach me about knife making, and so that's how it started. It started with Dr. Green's son, which is pretty funny. Yeah.
I saw him the other day. I was at a wedding that Dr. Green was at. I don't know his son,
Really?
but I
That's
haven't seen him
good.
in a long time. But
Yeah.
I had him for teachings. I didn't have Greek at MC, but bless you for going through that.
Man, I loved it. I loved it.
Good. Now, what are you doing now besides blacksmithing? You have
I
another
work
career?
at St. Dominic in
Okay.
the information technology department.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, I work on computer systems and that kind of stuff.
What branch of IT do you spend most of your time in? Is it like networking, database?
It's mostly behind the scenes computer virtualization. So keeping the virtual desktops running for the hospital.
Huh.
So that's where I spend a lot of my time. That and Citrix virtual application delivery.
Huh.
So I've been there for 22 years, I think.
No kidding. Did you also do computer science classes at MC?
Not a one. I was a Christian studies major and a psychology minor.
Huh.
And kind of fell into the job working at SkyTel here in town, which is no longer here. And then a good friend of mine went to St. Dominic, and I kind of followed him over there, and been there ever since.
Well, at MC, I was a Christian studies major and computer science minor.
Oh, okay.
So we have some overlap there.
Yeah, I went back and got a master's in health informatics from MC, which is kind of the health information systems part of it. And so I did that about 4 years ago, I think.
That's cool. Well, good. So tell us about the episode that you were on, that you won on Forged in Fire.
Yeah, that was fun.
What'd you make?
So on our episode in the first round, we had to make a really big pocket knife. So end to end, it was like 22 inches. It was like a big, huge folding knife. And then for the finale weapon, I had to make a 17th century small sword, a French small sword, which was kind of like a gentleman's dueling weapon. You know, it's about 33 inches or so.
Have you had to use it since then?
No, fortunately, I have not.
They keep it, don't they?
Yeah, they kept that one. So, and I keep saying that I'm going to remake it so that I can hang one on my wall, you know, to represent the one I made on the show. But I kind of ventured more into the blacksmithing after that, and a little bit more away from knife making. It's what I have been interested in. And so I haven't gone back and finished the sword that I want to keep, but maybe someday.
Yeah. Well, Todd Prather in our church has, I know he's a friend of yours. He
Yeah.
has a hatchet that he was bragging on. Just last night I was talking to him.
Right.
That you made. And so, besides knives, hatchets, what do you typically find yourself making?
These days I make a lot of barbecue tools.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
Grilling tools,
Yeah.
Meat forks and steak flippers. I make a bunch of those. And then...
Do you make things out of cast iron as well, or
no, most everything I make is either railroad steel, railroad spikes, or what's called mild steel or modern structural steel, or tool steel, which is what I make hammers and axes and things like that out of.
Gotcha.
They have it's a tougher steel designed for that kind of use. But most of what I make now are those grilling tools and crosses and small decorative things. In short, if I'm forging metal, I'm having a great time. That's really what I enjoy, is the forging process. Once the forging stops and I have to start grinding, I'm just not having fun anymore. So I gear the things I make based around forging.
Okay. You brought this. That was very kind of you to bring this. So I want to ask you about it. I see it is a cross. What's it made of?
That's just made of what's called mild steel. That's a modern steel that's used, to build buildings. But it's basically the main blacksmithing metal that's used now. But that's called a Friedrich's cross. I think it's a German guy that invented the process that results in that particular shape. That starts as a piece of square bar, and it has two cuts that intersect in the middle, and then it's folded open. And when it's folded open, you get that diamond shape in the middle. And
that's cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. And then that one has the state of Mississippi stamped in, and then the Bible verse, Proverbs 27:17.
Now, the state of Mississippi was a tool, but the writing here, did you stamp that, or is there another?
Yeah, those are both what's called hot stamps. Those are just big chunks of metal that are heat treated to stay hard, and I get the steel, to a bright orange and pound the stamp in there.
The hot stamps, do you buy them or make them?
I buy them.
Where do you buy those?
There's a company that I buy those from, a little small mom and pop shop called Jera Metal Arts, and you send them a design, and they can turn that design into a stamp, or they can help you alter the design so that it makes an effective stamp. But
that's cool.
Yeah, they do a lot of machining, high-tech machining and laser cutting and stuff like that to get those really clean stamps.
My boys need new Bibles, and so I'm buying them for Christmas. They won't watch this episode. Well, actually, they might, because my son is into blacksmithing. So, anyways, I'm ruining the surprise. I'm getting them Bibles, and I thought I need some way to put their name on them besides just the typical engraving. I want to burn it on. So I thought I could buy them a stamp with their name. They could burn onto the cover of their Bible or burn onto anything that they want.
Absolutely. There's I don't know if you've seen this guy. If not, I'll send you his info. He's a Bible cover maker on Instagram. And he makes custom leather covers and just beautiful book bindings for Bibles, but he does a lot of that kind of stuff. Yeah. I'll message that guy and see what he uses.
So this has your website on it and a cool logo, Melton Forge Works. So if somebody goes to derekmelton.com, they can buy some of the cool grilling stuff that you make?
Yeah.
Good. Is it too late for them to order Christmas gifts?
It's getting that way, yeah.
Okay.
I'm kind of busy right now because it's not my full-time job. I do it in my spare time at night. So I kind of manage how busy I am with that business by how much I leave in stock on the website,
Yeah.
But yeah,
so there will be some in-stock things that people can order and get by Christmas.
Yeah, those crosses are probably the thing that I've made the most of. I got involved with a ministry called Iron Man Outdoors a couple of years ago, and they're a men's ministry where they take men on hunting and fishing trips and have a Bible study, and it's almost like I don't know if you're familiar with the Kairos group. It's almost like it's an intense weekend where they do this Bible study and faith walk with these guys. Nice. And at the end of them, at the end of the weekend, they give them a cross that I make for them with their special logo in it and whatnot. So
Wow.
I've made many of those crosses, and that's probably the most popular thing that I make.
That's cool. My son lately has been really into blacksmithing. In fact, let me tell you what he did. He first made bricks out of mud,
Right.
And made a little forge and got it as hot as he could. I don't remember what fuel source he used for it. Got it as hot as he could. Realized it wasn't going to get hot enough to actually, melt metal. And then some guests at our house, little kids, tore up the brick forge that he made. But then he borrowed some bricks and bought a couple of cinder blocks. Got some, what's it called? Charcoal.
Right.
And a blow dryer. So it has the
That'll
blow dryer
do it.
set up so it'll blow in the bottom.
That will absolutely.
And he
do
has
it.
the cinder blocks. And he's actually gotten some rebar hot enough to pound a little bit.
That's great.
So any advice for him on what to do if you're like a 13-year-old trying to get into blacksmithing?
Come see me.
Okay.
Yeah, just come to the shop and we'll have a chat and I'll show him what he needs and
Well, he will
get
love.
him started.
He will love.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
That'd be
It's
cool.
he's close. You need a different kind of brick, and then you need two other things. You need something to hit the metal with, and something to hit the metal against.
That's right. Right
And
now
so-
he's using a standard construction hammer
Yeah.
and a brick paver,
Yeah,
and it's not enough. He's asking for an anvil for
he
for
needs
Christmas.
something with mass under it that's going to absorb.
Is there any
that blow.
cheap substitute for an anvil that we could find?
Yeah, there is. You can if you find a machine shop or a welding shop, ask those guys if they have any heavy chunks of steel scrap. Just a
Okay.
block of steel. It would be a good makeshift anvil.
Okay.
And,
Good. And where do you get railroad spikes?
I order them from a website.
Okay.
You can get them at Blacksmith's Depot has them. And there's another website called getspikes.com, and that's all they do is sell railroad spikes. But I have a bunch. I'll give you some.
Do you offer classes in blacksmithing or anything like
I
that?
have been offering classes in the past. I just about a week ago I made a decision to not do that anymore for a little while. I've got a lot of other stuff going on, and it takes a lot of time to prepare for the class and
Yeah, I bet.
find a time that works for me and the person. But what I have done is I've done a couple of these where I do demonstrations or kind of group event classes for. We did one at Pine Lake. We had a man event day where we just had a bunch of guys come out, and I brought the forges and the anvils out, and all the guys came together, and I brought a bunch of pre-cut steel, and we made crosses for a good hour or two.
Oh, we got to do that.
It was a blast. It was a
We
lot
gotta
of
do
fun. It was a whole lot of fun. I enjoy doing that just as much as I enjoy doing one-on-one classes, because you get a group of guys together and they see the steel get hot and they beat on it. And one of the reasons that I'm so fascinated with blacksmithing is that there are so many parallels between it and our walk as Christian men in particular nowadays. It's not easy, and you got to go through the fire, so to speak, and you got to get beat up. But on the other side of that, there's an end result, that happens, and seeing guys actually see that process happen, there's a light bulb moment that happens, and that's really neat. So.
What's the worst injury you've gotten blacksmithing?
Well, you see, I've got a Band-Aid on this finger right now. I've never had any catastrophic injury with a power hammer or any really awful burn. I've gotten burned pretty good a few times, but the worst injuries have come from my belt sander,
Really?
which is a big sander that runs a 2-inch wide belt, and a lot of times I use something called a 36 grit belt, which
Wow,
is
that's
extremely abrasive. And
Yeah, that'll get you.
one bump into that and your knuckle is gone. And
Yeah.
I've done that enough times to be really careful around that tool now. So that's probably the biggest injury. I burned myself pretty good filming Forged in Fire.
Did you?
I did, yeah, absolutely. I was forging the sword out and was moving it back and forth, making sure it was straight, looking down the profile, and I'm, under the pressure, I forgot which end was hot, and I reached down and grabbed that steel, and it was about 800 degrees, and just really roasted my hand, and jumped up and down and threw tools around the shop, and the whole time the cameraman is there in my shop filming, and I just knew that this was going to be on TV for the world to see, and it didn't. It's on a cutting room floor somewhere. It didn't make the episode, so I was glad that they didn't air that.
Where do you want your blacksmithing to go? Like, do you hope that this is one day all you do is blacksmithing, or do you like it as a side?
I mean,
business?
I think eventually down the road, as I get closer to retirement, it will become, a more permanent.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A more permanent source of employment or income. Right now, and one of the reasons that I started a business was basically to kind of keep that money in that area so that I could buy the tools that I wanted to buy for the shop. So I just took the money that I was making in the shop and put it right back into the shop. But when I went on the show Forged in Fire, there were several times through that whole process where I was asking the Lord, what is your purpose in allowing me to go on a TV show? That seems kind of a silly thing. And so for a while I didn't really know what that purpose was, but since airing, my social media presence has obviously grown because of it, and it's given me a really great opportunity to make those parallel comparisons between, working with iron and living out our lives as Christians. And so where I would like to see the blacksmithing business go is more in that direction, more in using those skills and equipment and tools and whatnot to help bring more of those comparisons and parallels to other guys, especially people that might be wondering, why has the Lord gifted me with the ability to work with wood or steel or clay or whatever, and I would love to see it move more in that direction to use it to help other people see that, you really can use these gifts for the Lord and enjoy them at the same time,
When has God put you in the furnace, pounded you into shape? When have you been in the forge?
Oh gosh, my whole life, I feel like, I grew up in a somewhat broken home. My mother struggled with drugs and alcoholism for quite a while, and they broke up, and I wound up living with my father. My daughter, my sister and I went and moved in with my father. And so our family life as kids was not ideal, but it taught me how I wanted to do family later on. And just as a Cindy and I have been married since 1994. I won't do the math and get in trouble on TV, but
27 years.
Yeah, thanks. Math is not my strong point. But we got married really young. I was 21 when we got married. And obviously, I was not the husband that I wanted to be in our first years of marriage. And so the Lord has allowed me to see how I should have been. And so now, having gone through that and thankfully survived the stupidity, it's put me in a position now, even with the blacksmithing, to be an influence on other guys, other younger men, and kind of help guide them away from maybe things that I might see that they're doing, that, mistakes that I made.
This cross has a verse on it, Proverbs 27:17. What is that verse?
That is, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another.
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
It's good.
And that, that's obviously a significant verse for me and for other Christian metal workers, but it's one of those verses that I didn't really appreciate until I was working with metal for quite a while, because you have to have a piece of iron to shape a piece of iron, but the piece of iron, say a file or a hammer, it really can't adequately shape other metal until it's already gone through an intense process. So like a file is a piece of steel that's been heat treated and hardened and put through an intense fire and quenched and turned into a tool, a useful tool, and then it abrades other steel and shapes other steel. But until that file has gone through that process, it's just a useless piece of steel as well. And so that verse jumps out to me, and it's kind of like a rallying cry, for especially, like I said, for men. I just think we need men to stand up and help lead other men and be good examples.
Well, I don't know if all men are fascinated by and drawn to blacksmithing, but I am. I guarantee you, we got to find a time to bring you to the church and let you do a demonstration.
See
what you do.
I've seen people that really take to it, and they're just naturals at it. And then I've seen some people that struggle with it, but I've never seen anyone come and do it that didn't have a fun time.
I bet.
Didn't enjoy it.
I believe so.
So yeah, it's fascinating to watch the steel get hot and to feel it move.
Yeah. Well, this has been cool. I want to pray for you and your family and your work, but I do want to remind folks in our church to pray for a few two people on our staff actually that have lost loved ones this week. Thomas Gray, who works in the college ministry, has lost his mom. She died after a battle of about 1 year with cancer, and Kathy Langworthy has lost her stepmom. So remembering both of them and their families in our prayers, and others who are in the hospital. Let me pray for you and for our church. Lord, thank you for what you're doing through Derek and his wife. Bless them, bless their marriage and their family. I pray, Father, that you'll bless his blacksmithing. Continue to use it, Lord, for your glory, and to strengthen men especially, to point others to Christ. Thank you that we get to be part of your kingdom and share in the work of making disciples of all nations. I pray that you'll continue to use him and our church in that. We remember those that have lost loved ones this week. Certainly Thomas Gray is on our heart, Kathy Langworthy on our heart. We want your peace and your comfort for them and for their families during this time of grief. Lord, thank you for your mercy on us. Forgive us for our sins. Your love is greater than anything we've ever known. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Well, this was fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Is there anything that we've missed? Something that you just got to talk about if you come on a podcast?
Oh man, I tell everybody I know that if you find an anvil, let me know. Find me, yeah.
Because you want the anvil, or because it's like a clue to a treasure?
Well, no, I collect them. I like to talk about them. I like to help people identify what they've got. I mean, if you have a family member that was a blacksmith at one point and you've still got some of that equipment, not that you want to sell it to me, but if you just want to know more about it, look me up. I'd love to help you understand what you've got. And so that's
cool.
That's fun.
You can find him at derekmelton.com.
Yeah, that's it. Just my name, derekmelton.com.
Or on TikTok.
Unfortunately, yeah.
He's on TikTok at derek.melton.
Yeah.
I'm not young enough to be on TikTok. I don't know about you, Tom. Tom, are you on TikTok?
I am not on TikTok.
If I didn't sell things through TikTok, I don't know that I could stand it.
My buddy who's a painter, TikTok's where it's at.
It is. I do a lot of business
out
through TikTok. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, I hope you also do the fancy like Applebee's dance with your daughter on TikTok. Because that's what I heard is the thing to do.
Yeah. Oh, of course, my kids are the ones that introduced me to TikTok, of course. And I'm not so sure that they were really thrilled that I found out about it. Because, of
Dad
course,
crashing the party.
Yeah. I was crashing the party pretty quick.
Well, thank you. This was fun. Appreciate you joining us. That'll wrap up this episode of Morrison Heights Family Connect. We love our family.